Hey guys, it's Jen with 2Ns. Welcome to my channel. I've already prepped my nails. I used builder gel this time. It was the first time I've ever used builder gel, and I will say I'm very impressed. I will do another video on that someday, but for now we'll just get started. I use peel base underneath every manicure. I use UNT or UNT, or I have no idea how to pronounce it still to this day. But anyways, I put it underneath every single manicure. I use it because I change my manis out so frequently. It definitely saves my fingers from soaking in acetone. But if you want your manicure to last for a while, then I would either skip this step or maybe just do a very, very thin coat of the peel base. I usually do 1 or 2 thick coats, and it works pretty well for me. But like I said, if you're looking for more longevity in your manicure, that is a hard word to say, then either skip the peel base or just do a thin layer. I won't spend a whole lot of time talking about peel base because I have already done a more in-depth video on how to use peel base and kind of the ins and outs of it. So we will just stick with the fact that you can either put peel base on or not, and you just want to make sure that the peel base is dry before you start dipping. And you can tell when the peel base is dry because it's no longer shiny. It just looks more matte, like that does. Alrighty, so to get started, I did use 5 different colors for this manicure. The first color I used was Double Dip's Fearlessly Authentic. That is the glitter color. The second color that I used was Double Dip's Lavender White. I used that on my index finger. The third color that I used was from Rocky Mountain Dip Powder, Fairytale Blue. And the Fairytale Blue actually came from the sub bag in January. And then the fourth color is Winter Snuggles, also by Rocky Mountain Dip Powder. This one is the gray color that I used on my ring finger. And then the last color that I used was Double Dip's Bohemian Moon. This color is kind of like a white pink. It's a very, very pretty color. The first color that I started with is Fearlessly Authentic. I did this on my thumb, and I did 2 layers of each color. Even though I don't show it on the video, I'm just letting you know I did 2 layers, and I'll remind you also. But to get started, always make sure that you stir your powder. This helps so that the powder isn't so compact, and when you're dipping, the application is much smoother when your powder is stirred and fluffy. I used Double Dip's liquids for this manicure, so start with the base and put a thin layer of base coat on your nail. The thinner, the better, of course, because we are going to do multiple layers. You want to make sure that your layers are thin so that you don't end up having really thick and clumpy nails. You also want to get as close to your cuticle as you can without getting any on your skin. If you get liquid on your skin, the powder will stick to it, and then you're going to have a harder cleanup, and your nails just aren't going to look as good as they could. So if you do get any on your skin, make sure that you wipe it off like I'm doing here. So I chose to place my finger into the powder instead of dipping it in. There's not a right or a wrong way to do it. I just chose this way because I didn't really want to get glitter all over the place and on the backside of my thumb. You want to make sure that you have complete coverage on your nail, no matter which method you choose, whether it's the dip or the pour over. And then tap off the excess glitter and make sure you clean those cuticles. You can either use a toothpick or an orange wood stick, whichever one you prefer, but make sure that you do get them cleaned up because it does make the world of difference at the end result. If you have messy cuticles, your manicure is not going to look very good. So a nifty little trick if you are using glitter is to take a plastic bag and pat down the powder so that it sticks to your nail. This works especially well if you're using chunky glitter. So even though this wasn't a chunky glitter, I still had some powder that was coming up when I cleaned my cuticle edge. So by using that plastic bag and pushing down the glitter, it made a better application. And then after I dust off the excess powder, I was able to go back in and see where I really needed to clean up my cuticle. Now, if you wait too long for this, though, the liquid dries and you don't have a lot of play anymore. So make sure you work quickly. So I do have my flash on the camera while I am recording because it makes it easier for me to see my nails when I am painting it on, but it does kind of change the way that the colors look. So I turned the flash off here so that you can see the color of the glitter and how really, really pretty that is. I did the second layer off camera. So after I did my second coat, I went in and I encapsulated it with clear. Typically, I wait until I'm done with my entire hand before I go in and do the encapsulation. But because I had only one finger and it was, I only had my thumb and it was glitter, I just finished the thumb off so that I didn't have to worry about it anymore by making sure that my glitter or that my thumb was encapsulated in clear and I had activated it, then I wasn't going to lose any glitter pieces. And it's just, I just, I just felt better knowing that my thumb part was done. But if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. You can do it at the very end. I just found it to be easier for me. So I encapsulated my entire thumb with the clear. Make sure that the entire thumb is covered. This will help to protect the glitter for when we're filing or buffing. If you don't encapsulate it with clear, when you're polishing it, a lot of times you can actually overfile, and some of that glitter, it doesn't look as pretty as it would if you just had a clear coat over it. Because basically, if you put a layer of clear over, when you're buffing the clear. You're not buffing the glitter. And then after you have your layer of clear, use the activator to finish that thumb up so that it hardens your thumb. If you don't use the activator, it will never harden, and then you won't be able to file your nail. It's going to be a major mess, so make sure you activate it. The next color that I did was lavender white, and I did that on my index finger. And always, always, always remember to stir your powder before you use it. Make sure that you get your entire nail covered with the base coat, and make sure not to get any on your skin. And if you do, make sure to wipe it off. And I also laid this finger in instead of dipping it or doing the pour over method. And actually, I laid my finger in every time. So I don't have to say it every time. Just know that's what I did. Clean up your cuticles again with an orange wood stick or toothpick, whichever one you want. I always feel like a broken record whenever I'm doing these videos because it's always the same thing for every finger, but I always have to still say it. I guess repetition is how you learn, right? And now moving on to the middle finger, I use the Fairytale Blue from Rocky Mountain Dip Powder. This color is it's so beautiful. It's such a pretty color, but it is so weird to me because sometimes it looks blue and then other times it looks purple. I honestly cannot tell you what color it actually is, but it's so pretty. Maybe that's why she called it Fairytale Blue, because it starts off blue but changes into fairytale purple or something. I don't know. So anyways, I laid my finger into the powder and then tapped it off. Always make sure you tap off the excess powder. It's just going to be chunky if you don't. And just be careful when you go around your cuticles. You want to make sure that you really outline it really well and that you don't go too far in because you can end up missing some powder on your nail otherwise. And then dust it off. I'm going to turn off the light here, turn off the flash. There we go. So that you can see the more natural color that it is. It's a really, really pale blue. Then we're going to move on to Winter Snuggles. This is a gray, a very, very light gray for the ring finger. And I accidentally forgot to stir my powder before I put the base coat on, so don't do that. Remember to stir your powder before you put on the liquid, because otherwise you're going to be rushing and you're going to be in a hurry because that liquid could dry before you even are able to dip your finger. Luckily, I'm super fast like Dash, so I was able to stir my powder and still dip it before my base coat dried. The last and final color is Bohemian Moon. And I'm just going to let you guys watch here for a few minutes without me yapping your ear off. And here is my clean slate mani so far. This is with the flash on, and here it is without the flash. So you can see kind of how very, very pale the colors are, but they're very pretty. They're beautiful. Normally I wouldn't activate them yet, but because I am going to go in, I wanted to file my nails and get my cuticle areas, just the cuticle areas, since I'm going to put glitter in that area. Once the glitter's on, I won't be able to do this. I mean, I could, but then I would lose some glitter, and I really didn't want to do that. So I activated my nails, and then I'm taking my electric file, and I'm going in and just cleaning up my cuticle areas with it. If you don't have an e-file, you can certainly do this manually with a file. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But really, it doesn't matter. If you don't have one, you can still clean up your cuticles just as well. I'm going to let you guys watch this for a little bit. I know it can be so boring watching filing, but if you just got an e-file, and sometimes it's very helpful to watch somebody else do it. So if you're bored, you can fast forward, or you can watch me clean up my cuticles for a couple minutes. And as a side note, underneath me is a dust collector. So if you don't have a dust collector, I highly recommend you get one. It really is amazing. So I'm just using the tip of my barrel, and I'm just lightly trying to touch the edge of kind of where my cuticle is and where the end of the dip is at. You don't want to get your skin. You definitely want to try to avoid that. And you just want to get in between your skin and the powder. After you are done with the e-file, or if you manually filed your cuticles, then you want to go in and file your side walls. This is where you want to make sure that your nails are the shape that you want them to be and they are the length that you want them to be. In theory, you've already done this when you did your nail prep, but when you dip your nails into the powder, there's always going to be a little bit of filing that you have to do again. If you don't have an e-file, this is how you would go in manually with your file and just lightly file the top of your cuticle area. You definitely want to avoid your skin though, so try not to file your cuticles. I like my nails with kind of a tapered edge, so that's what I go back in and I do that. I kind of taper in the edge of my my side walls, and then the free edge, I like that to be flat, so I try to make that flat. But of course, whatever shape you like, file your nails to that shape. So after my nails were shaped to the way I wanted, I took a buffing block and I did buff my nails. I did not do this perfectly because I'm going to have to go in. I knew I was going to have to go in and buff at the end anyway. So I just did a quick buffing. I tried to make it smooth, but I wasn't worried about it being perfect. The only reason I did this is because I'm going and I'm putting glitter over my nails, so I wanted to make sure that the final buffing product, I didn't have a whole lot of buffing still that I needed to do. After you're done buffing, wash your hands to get all the dust off. So there are a bunch of different ways I could have done this glitter part. We'll call it the corner glitter. The way I chose was probably one of the easiest ways. There may have been another way that may have made it look better, but whatever. I think it turned out good enough. So I used a makeup brush. It's also the same brush that I use for my ombres. You just want to make sure that it's a fluffy brush so that it will collect the powder. And start with some base coat. And instead of covering the entire nail, I just put base coat in the corner of my cuticle where I wanted the glitter to go. It was a little tricky because I needed to make sure not to get any base coat on my skin, but I also wanted to make it curve. Once I did the first nail, every other nail afterwards was pretty easy because it was basically a pattern. I just needed to follow this the way that I did it before. So dip the powder into the glitter and then just dust the glitter over your nail wherever the liquid is. The powder is going to stick to. And then just do that on every other nail. Like I said, the trickiest part is just making sure that you don't get any liquid on your skin, but also make sure you follow the same pattern that you did on your first nail. So whatever you do on that first nail, make sure you do the same thing on the rest of your nails. Once all of the glitter is on your nails, you can take your orange stick and clean up your cuticles. You can certainly do this, and you probably should do this before you're finished putting the glitter on so that it doesn't dry. But, I dropped the ball on that one, so, but it really wasn't that big of a deal because I didn't have that much glitter. And then dust off your nails and try to get all of the excess powder off. Now it's time to encapsulate the rest of our nails in clear. So you're going to put base over the entire nail this time. So glitter included and your solid color. Make sure that your whole entire nail is covered with base coat. This is ensuring two different things. Number one, we are protecting our design for when we are buffing, so we're protecting the glitter. And number two, we are evening out our nail. So by putting an entire layer of clear over our nail, it just evens it out and it kind of self-levels, if that makes any sense. It's not going to be perfect because we do have glitter on only part of the nail, but for whatever reason, when you put a layer of clear over your entire nail, it just does level it out and make it more even. And normally when I am encapsulating glitter in clear, I either do the pour over method or I use my my glitter clear. But because we used such a little amount of the glitter and it wasn't chunky glitter, I really wasn't too concerned about it because the glitter itself is a powder glitter. So I didn't have much stray glitters. I wasn't worried about the glitter getting caught in my clear coat, or in my clear powder, I mean. Can you guys tell it's getting late when I'm recording this video? I am definitely tired. And it doesn't help too that we're finally, all the holidays are done. It's a new year. I think everybody just is tired, ready for a fresh start. After every nail is encapsulated with the clear powder, now it is time to activate our nails. So be very generous in the amount of activator that you use. You want to make sure that the activator can soak through all of the layers that we put on our nails, because again, the activator is what hardens our nails. So use as much as you want. Don't worry about using too much. That's not possible. And then go in for the final cleanup. So get your sidewalls, get your free edge, and then if you need to go over your cuticle area again, do that. This is the final stages, and these are your final touches to make sure that your nails look the way that you want them to look. And because you've already filed and buffed before, this part should be relatively quick and pretty easy. Like I said, it's just basically the final touches, the finishing touches. So I actually buffed off camera so that the video wasn't 600 hours long. After you are done buffing, wash your hands again, get all the dust off. You don't need to use soap, but if you do, try to avoid touching the soap onto your nails. Once your nails are dry, then we are going to put on our second round of activator. You always want to make sure you put 2 rounds of activator on, once before you file and then once after. after you wash your hands, after you're done filing. Dip nails really is a science. You have to follow the steps to a T because it is really a science. So anyways, there it is. And here it is without the flash. My clean slate mani for 2021 so far. Almost done. The last couple steps left. I always like to go in after I've put on my last round of activator with a lint-free wipe and some alcohol. This just gets off any remaining powder or really activator. What I'm making sure of getting off is the activator, because if there is any activator left over on your nails and if your top coat brush touches it, you will ruin your top coat. So then I take a dry wipe and I just make sure that I get all the alcohol off my nails. And now it's time for the top coat. Make sure you have a fresh napkin or paper towel or something to wipe your brush on, because if nothing else, if you don't wipe your brush for any other step, make sure you wipe your brush after the first coat of top coat. Like I mentioned, the activator will ruin your top coat and it will harden your brush. So if you have any leftover activator on your nail, you want to make sure to wipe your brush on a napkin before you put your brush back into the bottle. So don't worry too much about making your first coat of top coat perfect. You really shouldn't care about it. 3 swipes and you're done. The goal here is to just get it on there. You really don't want the activator to touch your brush. We're going to go in with the second layer and make it nice and detailed and perfect. Let the first coat dry for a minute or so, and then look at your nails. When it looks like the top coat is starting to shrink on your nails, then you know you're ready for the second coat. And this is when you want to go in with perfection and detail and make sure that your entire nail is covered with top coat and make sure that it looks beautiful. And always make sure to cap your free edge. It's not as necessary to wipe your brush when you're doing your second coat. However, I do recommend that you do still wipe your brush, A, to keep that habit going, because you always want to wipe your brush, and B, just in case you may have missed a certain spot and maybe there might be activator somewhere. It really does not hurt to wipe your brush every time you put it back in, before you put it back into the bottle. So have good habits. I did not wipe my brush, so don't do what I'm doing. Just wipe your brush. And also, don't wipe your brush in the same spot that you've wiped it before, because if you wipe your brush and you did have activator on your brush, and then you wipe it again in the same spot that you wiped it before, well, guess what you just got on your brush? It's always better to be safe than sorry. It's a science, I tell you, a science. It really truly is. The last and final step is to show your cuticles some love. Show those bad boys some love, as much love as you can. I always lather cuticle oil on. I probably put more cuticle oil than is necessary, but to be honest with you, I really do beat up my cuticles, and a healthy cuticle means healthy nails. So why not put more cuticle oil on? That's what I say. Plus, it smells so good, so yummy. I like Candi's Skin and Nail Care. They have some cuticle oil pens, and they have some amazing scents. I love cuticle oil. Show your cuticles some love. I mean, like, really, show them some love. I like to let the cuticle oil sit on my skin for a minute or so and then rub it in. And sometimes I even go back in and put more on. I'm going to fast forward this part of the video so that you don't have to watch the boring part of rubbing cuticle oil in. And here it is, 2021 Clean Slate Mani with the flash. And here it is without the flash. Like I mentioned, I will have the discount links in the description box below. Also, I will have all of the supplies and colors that I used below so that you can recreate this mani if you want. If you do have any questions or if there's something specific that you guys want to see, let me know. If you liked this video, please give it a like. And if you want to see more videos like it, then subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. And Happy New Year.